Oh, it's a new episode of the I80 Crossover, a game one of the NBA Finals post-game edition. Mark Haynes, yours truly. Mark, how are you doing, brother? Ready to go?
The NBA Finals is finally here, and I'm so juiced about game one because we got a good game.
Great game. And a lot to talk about pertaining to that game. Correlation with your Sacramento Kings and your Golden State Warriors. A lot of regret if those are your teams as you watch this NBA Finals series. We'll explain what we mean in just a second. And we're going to talk about the game itself because it was phenomenal. We're powered by Sunrun. We're powered by FanDuel. Believe in Kings. Golden Days. Let's do this. Mark Haynes, you made it super easy for people to follow you on all social media platforms. It's at Mark Haynes NBA. That's simple, right?
Everywhere. I got lucky because a lot of people can't just type in their name, but
true.
Mark is such a plain name. I thought it'd be gone.
No, it's there. You nailed it. And the Closer Sports is your YouTube channel. Believe in Kings is a part of that within the greater Closer Sports umbrella. On the Golden Day side of my YouTube description, it's tagged, so you can find the Closer Sports super easy there. Subscribe to that. You can follow me, Cyrus Saatsaz, on Threads and Instagram, at Dogwild over on Twitter. My handle is at Surf Journalist. The program on both platforms at Golden Days Pod. As we join you from two locations, summer is here. Not officially yet, but damn, is this weather warm. What were the highs in Sacktown today, brother?
I think we hit 94. I think it was, but
bad.
Yeah, it's not bad here. No. In Sacramento, we'll take 94 because we're going to get to 104, I'm sure, too soon.
94, I call balmy. It's like a light, easy, breezy day in Sac when you're in the 90s. It hit 90 here. Usually when West Sonoma County, where the Golden Day studios are located, when it hits 90 plus here, I'm picturing like 110 in Sacramento. So we had like very comparable weather today. Interesting.
Yeah, you know what's funny is like the Bay Area, like when I lived out there, I remember it was like 2020, I believe, and it was like a week where it was like 90 degrees. And I went to Walmart to buy a fan, and they were all sold out because, you know, the Bay Area doesn't really need air conditioning or whatever. They don't need central air or whatever. So, like, I didn't have a fan, and it was like 85 degrees, and it felt like it was 120. And I was dying. That was like the hot. When I think of hot, and I'm from Fresno, California, where it's really hot. But when I think of hot days, living in the what is it? San Mateo area, Belmont area,
the peninsula.
Peninsula. There you go. I knew it was a P, but the peninsula. Oh my God, that was one of the hottest days I've ever experienced because it was crazy. It was crazy. But yeah, 94 here is a breeze. It's nice.
It is. It absolutely is. And regardless, the 90s is still warm. I'm guessing if you folks are in that type of climate, you want some air conditioning, and air conditioning sucks up power. That's where one of our two title sponsors today, Sunrun, can help you. And we made a little commercial here that I'm going to run during our broadcast right now, actually. And this is a commercial that we produced for it I think summarizes in a very a comical way the type of person who does not have Sunrun yet and the type of person who should have Sunrun. And the story is told through Jerry the Turtle. I'm going to let him take it away. And then, Mark, you can tell me if this is funny or if it just completely misses the mark. Don't be a Jerry is the lesson here pertaining to Sunrun. Let's listen to Jerry.
My God, Jerry, the struggle is real, honey. The fact that you've got a bridge there, a ramp, neither here nor there, darling.
And so to set this up, if you're listening on the podcast, a turtle has an easy ramp they can go up to go home. And this turtle's trying to climb a difficult ledge instead. And I believe the owner, she sounds Scottish or Irish or something. Anyway, so Jerry the turtle, the metaphor here being the ledge is your local utility company like a PG&E, whereas the easy way up is Sunrun.
So you crack on and make it as hard for yourself as you can. Yep, the challenge, the struggle, like whatever it is you're trying to work through in life here, darling.
Yeah, so you're not more.
You're going to end up in your back. You're going to end up in your back. Here we go. You're going to end up in your back, darling. Come on, save yourself.
Come on, Jerry.
Save yourself, Jerry.
On, Jerry.
Stop being so dramatic.
Like the slowest back roll ever.
Stubborn.
Come on, save yourself, darling.
You see, there's PG&E laughing at you. The turtle just fell on its back.
Why can't we just use the ramp, honey?
And now it's fully down. And your rates just got increased.
That's just a terrible situation.
You're just getting screwed over left and right. Bringing it on yourself. Because you're not switching.
I think you're a wee girl, Jerry.
There you go.
Right.
You're a homeowner.
Why don't you go up the ramp instead?
Switch it up today.
Why don't you go up the ramp instead?
The link is right there above me. That QR code right there. Or in the YouTube and or podcast description. Link is there as well.
Too easy?
See how easy it is if you go with Sunrun?
Too easy,
Nice
is
and
it?
smooth. Set
Way bit
rate,
easier than
lower
going up
cost, and a $500 gift
big
card. That
ledge,
was not going
like,
to last forever.
That's why there's a bridge there.
Use the bridge.
This is a video of me getting out of bed early in the morning.
The easiest way.
That's exactly what I do.
There you
I
go,
feel
Jerry.
you, Jerry.
There you go, Jerry. And so that is my Sunrun commercial. I made that myself. Don't be a Jerry. All right. I cross the bridge. Sign up with Sunrun. Today's episode also brought to you by FanDuel. What, Mark? Did that pass the test, or was that too boring, dumb? What are your thoughts?
I liked it, and I'm
All right.
a fan of turtles, so I enjoyed it.
You're like literally the kid who goes, "I like turtles."
I like turtles. Yeah, I never had a pet turtle. I'm not good with pets, but if I like turtles.
Turtles are awesome, dude. Just be careful of those snapping ones. Some turtles, like those snapping ones with those big ass heads that can bite your finger off in one snap. Be wary of them. All the other ones are pretty chill, from my experience. FanDuel has revised the lines, by the way. We're also brought to you by the official sportsbook of Believe, which includes Believe in Kings, Golden Days. The New York Knicks, after winning Game 1, are now the favorites to win the NBA Finals. FanDuel has them favored minus 134. The Spurs plus 114. That is a reversal. And if you think the San Antonio Spurs are going to win the series, now is the time to bet. You're probably never going to get better odds outside of the Knicks going up 2-0 in this series, which is going to be damn near impossible, in my opinion. Mark, and Game 2, by the way, if you agree with me, whether you agree with me or not, the line for Game 2, the Spurs favored by 5.5, the Knicks 5.5-point underdogs. The money line for that, plus 190. If you think the Knicks will go up 2-0 in this series, the over-under on Game 2, 214.5. The unders, my personal favorites in these NBA Finals games when scoring is tighter, every possession matters. All those lines courtesy of FanDuel. Mark, let's jump right into it. Game 1, Knicks win it. And what are your thoughts on the fact that the Spurs are now underdogs in this series? Are you going to pounce on that?
You know, I feel what the experts are doing over at FanDuel. I feel it because literally in the first quarter, when I was watching and I was like looking at, even though, you know, the Spurs jumped out when Dylan Harper when he came in the game, they took like a double-digit lead, but it was just something about the way the Knicks were playing, the way they were defending. You know, the Spurs had to hit shots, and obviously at some point shots are going to stop falling. And I was just looking at like what happens when everything slows down. And when things slowed down for the Spurs, the Knicks kept their same pace. And the Knicks, the way they played today, they played a style of basketball that they can maintain over time. This wasn't like a spurt. The Spurs had spurts, but it was never a point where I felt like the Spurs were truly in control, even with a big lead. As we see, none of the stars, whether it was Wemby or Jalen Brunson, none of them had monster games or efficient games. But everybody else, when you look at like a person that stood out to me was Josh Hart. I have no idea what his finishing line was, but he did everything that you need to do, all the small plays that you need to do to win championship games. Karl Anthony Towns, same thing. He had 12 to 14 rebounds, and whenever Wembanyama tried to go at him one-on-one, I felt like Karl Anthony Towns got to stop. And it was just those type of plays from the others, and Landry Shamet doing what he does. I feel like the Knicks can maintain that. The Spurs, I didn't see anything where it was like, all right, they're putting their footprint on this game, and this is what we're going to have to do to win the series. I originally had the Spurs. Forgive me, New York Knicks fans. Don't hate me too much, so I'm apologizing now. I said it would be a gentleman's sweep in the Spurs' favor, but now I think this goes at least 6, and I'm rocking with the New York Knicks.
So you think the Knicks are going to win the series now?
I got so there's two parts of me, and I'm glad you even asked that. So
you were asking for forgiveness from them just a second ago. So what happened there? Did you change your mind in literally 1 second? What's going on?
I changed my mind in the first quarter, right? In the first quarter, right. I changed it. When I looked at them head to head, in that first quarter, I changed it. But there is still a side. There's two versions of me, and you can relate to this too. Professional me says the San Antonio Spurs will win the series. As a fan of basketball, there's nothing more than I want for the Knicks to win. I want the Knicks to win. I think it'll be a better story. I think it'll be better for the league. I think there'll be more stories. Like we talk about how Karl Anthony Towns went from Minnesota to New York and became a champion. Jalen Brunson, his first chip. Mike Brown, the crazy exit he had in Sacramento to winning the championship the following year or whatever. But the Spurs, it would obviously be Victor Wembanyama's first. And I feel like that's how I feel about it. It'll just be his first of many more. I expect him to win multiple, but I want the Knicks to win badly.
They're a fan favorite. I think that's a safe assumption to make. The people love the Knicks. They're likable. I personally love their fans. The Knicks to me have the best fans in the NBA. Just in terms of passion, in terms of authenticity, people who are willing to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a ticket and act like a fan who's sitting in the nosebleeds or the bleachers in the baseball game. I respect that. That's good fandom to me. And the team itself, I'm with you. It's very likable. Jalen Brunson is one of my favorite NBA players, and I think a lot of people similarly will express that sentiment. Mark, my takeaway from this series, and again, we're now 1 game in. The Knicks win this one 105-95 over the San Antonio Spurs, and the Knicks remain undefeated going back to the first round of the playoffs when Jonathan Kuminga's Atlanta Hawks, he was literally, not hyperbolic saying this, he was literally the best two-way player in those games. Because people will bring up CJ McCollum and say, dude, CJ made those late game shots and he scored the most points. But basketball is played on both sides of the court. And Kuminga was not only second offensively in those games, but defensively, what he did on Karl Anthony Towns, you're seeing just big cat when he is playing unencumbered basketball, when he's not letting distractions get in the way, and when he's playing with aggression, maybe most importantly, he's a badass dude, man. He's a big boy who's got a complete skill set offensively. Defensively, maybe leaves something to be desired, but his size makes up for a lot of that. That's one of many things that people forget when it comes to basketball and defense. Even if you're slow-footed, if you're big, that still makes up for some things because you are a shot blocker. You are impeding the basket with just your height. And so Big Cat at the bare minimum gives you that. But boy, oh boy, dude, like the Knicks, look, first of all, again, the Warriors look even more awful just trading away Jonathan Kuminga for nothing. Because I personally don't see Kristaps Porzingis coming back. And if he does, I still don't see how that's a win, dude. Porzingis will play, 30 games next year if he does come back. And again, I don't see that being a scenario that's realistic. But the Spurs versus the Knicks, to me, represents new school basketball, meaning a style of play that's reminiscent of what Steve Kerr introduced with the Warriors 12 plus years ago, what Greg Popovich introduced even before then. You could argue it's what Phil Jackson first introduced with the triangle offense, where ball movement, off ball movement especially, is so vitally important and represents the system as a whole. And the Spurs are also like that as well. But then you look at the other side, the New York Knicks. Man, they're just old. They're old school, man. They run the pick and roll. They like feeding the ball down low. They like backing you down. Jalen Brunson's a very old school guard in the sense that even though he's only 6'2" height wise, he's a physical dude. He's a big boy, and he uses his body to create just enough space for himself to make these buckets. And when you see this contrast in style, I think that's why, at least in game one, the Spurs struggled, because they went from facing a team in OKC who plays similar to them. A ball movement is absolutely a central focus to their offense. Off-ball movement is huge, and OKC did not have a Karl Anthony Towns. Like Isaiah Hartenstein is not Karl Anthony Towns. Dude, Hartenstein, okay, he's an average big. Karl Anthony Towns is a multiple all-star, multiple All-NBA, future Hall of Famer most likely. There is a stark difference, and you're seeing San Antonio now dealing with a team that has all these different weapons and a coach who will adapt his style of play. I love what the Knicks are doing here. And to me, I think the Spurs have their hands full. This is going to be one hell of a series. It's not going to be dominated by either team. I think it's a safe assumption, 6 games, maybe even 7. This should be a hell of a series. Mark, any response to what I just said there?
No, you preaching to the choir right there, man. Like, when I look at the Thunder versus the Spurs, like you said, they didn't have a Karl Anthony Towns. You know, Chet was supposed to be Karl Anthony Towns. He was coming off an all-star year, but he can't compete. He couldn't compete with Wemby. Wemby owned him. Wemby owned him. And coming into this series, I was thinking about that. I was like, the way the Knicks win this, as great as Jalen Brunson is, as great of a coach as Mike Brown is, this all comes down to Karl Anthony Towns. If Karl Anthony Towns, like you said, he's been a perennial all-star. He's been a top 3 center in the league for years now. If he plays that way, and like I was on the phone with a friend, with Jeremiah actually earlier today during the second quarter. At the beginning of the season, there was news.
Tell him what's up.
Yeah, you gotta jump on with us one time.
Let's say when, brother. I'm there. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
But at the beginning of the season, we heard reports about Mike Brown challenging Karl Anthony Towns. He's not playing defense. He's not being tough enough or whatever. And now it's all paying off, because as the year went on, those rumblings disappeared. And when you're looking at Cat versus Wemby right now, who Wemby I think is the best player in the world right now, when you're looking at how Cat played against him tonight, the way he defended him, the way he went at him offensively or whatever, all those earlier, that tough love that Mike Brown gave Cat is paying off now. And I think the series is going to be determined by Karl Anthony Towns if the Knicks win. If Towns continues to play this way and continue, because I would say he won the battle between him and Wemby. If he continues to compete, if he continues to just compete with Wemby, I don't expect him to beat him every night, but just compete. Unlike Chet did. Chet couldn't compete with him. If he competes, the New York Knicks have a really, really good shot at winning.
How, as a Kings fan, I'm going to go there now. Let's jump into this. And I'm going to start, when I say this, I'm going to start with this meme that I'm going to share with the audience and yourself, Mark. And believe me, the Warriors have a lot of regrets here as well. I also love the chat bringing up that Warrior, I like how you spell that, writing, it's the coach. The difference is the coach. Yeah, Mike Brown, again, phenomenal job that he's doing, leading the Knicks to the NBA Finals. Looks like his job is safe. And the Warrior following up saying if the Knicks had Steve Kerr, they lose by 40 points. I will say this. And there was another chat here as well that I guess I forgot to highlight it. Oh, well, Julian Bashir adds this as well. Writing, would Steve Kerr allow Stephon Castle to play through his flaws? Would Kerr even had let Castle get to the point to have 20 turnovers in 2 games? Mark, you know what, before I get to the meme and all the regret about the Kings, if Steve Kerr were coaching the Knicks right now, would we be seeing routine minutes where Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, they're rotting on the bench for lineups that have Jalen Brunson? I think Mikal Bridges would survive the Steve Kerr experience, but you'd probably have Landry Shamet out there. You'd probably have Jose Alvarado out there. You'd probably have even more minutes for Landry Shamet, and you'd probably have a lot less minutes for Karl Anthony Towns and OG Anunoby. I'm being a little facetious saying all that, but again, it's an objective statement that Steve Kerr loves 4 point guard lineups. It's what his preference is. Josh Hart, who's on this Knicks team, was the center for the 2023 FIBA Cup team that did not even medal, and that was Steve Kerr's team because that's how he rolls. Mike Brown has been doing a phenomenal job. What have you been noticing from Mike in this series in terms of just great coaching?
Yeah, no, like you said, like Mike is a very, he's willing to change things up and be unconventional in the right ways, and like to like I said earlier about him and Towns' interaction early on or whatever. Like Mike is a guy that's willing to challenge his stars. He's willing to challenge like the players he believes that he's going to need them in the future, later on down the road. And that's like when you look at, the way when he was here in Sacramento, the things he was doing, the tough love that you have to give, to be successful in the NBA is tough. It's difficult to, he would cuss out, in Sacramento, that is, he would cuss out any of his guys if he felt they needed it, and then there's even, guys that maybe he went overboard or picked on or whatever, but it didn't necessarily seem to go to the extent of Kerr to where like you got a guy like Kuminga who you throw on the bench and he's rotten, and then he goes somewhere else and he's playing, he's finding success. Because the person that looked like Jonathan Kuminga was Keon Ellis here in Sacramento. But obviously, Kenny Atkinson seen maybe what Mike Brown seen in Keon, because Kenny Atkinson didn't play him during that. So it was a different situation. So Mike Brown, what I know about Mike Brown, he's willing to put his neck on the line to do what he feels is the right move. And that's what a great coach do. And you don't have a lot of coaches that will do that.
Yeah. Warrior, again, the incredible handle, adding that Dylan Harper would be in the G League right now. We'll stop there. But I want to, on the Steve Kerr bashing, we've done enough for tonight. I want to flip the script. And Mark, we're now going there. And this meme, there's a lot of memes that have been circulating. This is the one that I picked out for the show. Sacramento Kings fans have been going through it ever since the NBA Finals opponents were official and determined. And the meme that I'm showing for the podcast listeners, it starts with the title at the top, writing, "The strongest person you know is a Sacramento Kings fan." And below those words is 4 pictures. We start with Luka Doncic, who the Kings could have drafted. If reports are true, Vlade Divac supposedly thought that Luka would not fit well on the Kings because he needs a bigger market, and that the Kings would have been too small. And please add to that if there's anything more that I missed there. But ultimately, again, the Kings selected selected Marvin Bagley the third or the second, whatever the suffix is, instead of Luka Doncic. Tyrese Halliburton traded to the Indiana Pacers for Domantas Sabonis, and the rest is history there. De'Aaron Fox. Now, you could argue that Fox did not have a great game tonight, and maybe that makes Kings fans feel a little better. De'Aaron Fox, he did start this game, 38 minutes, just 7 points, 0 of 4 shooting from deep, only 5 assists, 4 rebounds. Not a good game for De'Aaron Fox. So maybe Kings fans, if you got a little hate in your body, as the great Ice-T once infamously summarized, look, we're all haters at times, right?
I'm mad at everything, man. Brother got a nice car, man. Why you got a car, man? I only got 1 car. Why you got 3 cars or a wife or all that, man? That's played out, man. I hate on it till he's totally broke and ain't got nothing like me. You know what I'm saying? Because, that's what real hating is all about, man.
So real hating on De'Aaron Fox again tonight. Just 7 points in 38 minutes of a loss. Not a good look for a man that I think is the highest paid on the Sacramento Kings roster. And then the fourth picture in this graphic, Mike Brown, who both our teams is experiencing regret on that one tonight. At least sensible Warriors fans and sensible Kings fans are feeling it because Mike Brown was the last lead assistant for the Warriors to win a championship. Mike Brown was briefly the head coach of the Kings, the last one to lead your team to the postseason. And the only reason why they did not get out of the first round is because Stephen Curry had that insane 50-point Game 7 to eliminate the third seed Sacramento Kings that year. And now Mike Brown is the head coach of the reigning Eastern Conference champion New York Knicks. I'm going to shut up now. Mark, how are you feeling representing Sacramento in light of all these past decisions?
It's funny because the Luka one will live forever. That's a generational talent, and there's no recovering from that because who knows where this organization would have been if they would have just picked Luka instead of Marvin Bagley. Like that. I seen Vlade Divac because he's the one that, drafted him. I seen he did an interview recently.
Yes.
Talking about it. There's no backing it up. There's no saving it. Like, next time he's asked that question, he should just say, like, my bad. Sometimes an apology can go a long way. Like, there's no explanation needed. The city was too small or any of that stuff. It's just like, hey, I messed up. My bad. That's it. Because that's something that you want to just leave back in history. But it keeps coming back. It keeps, now they're, Luka is in LA, in California. He's now, that's ridiculous. But
do you think is that Vlade trying to cover his ass? And in reality, in hindsight, as a man who maybe has some big man bias himself, Vlade, a former NBA center, maybe looked at Marvin Bagley and thought, dude, that's a center. Bigs succeed in the NBA. Could it be that simple? Or do you believe what Vlade said in terms of Sacramento just being too small of a market for a player like Luka Doncic?
I don't believe that part at all. But I definitely think, being, like you said, being a center, being a big man, he might have, had some bias of, what he sees in Bagley. And as we know, especially how the league has changed over years, big men, it used to be a big man league. And there's no doubt that I think Vladdy's seen great big man traits in Marvin Bagley. But the game changed, and I think that's the part that Vlade is not really accepting or acknowledging. Like, you were just wrong, bro. There was no excuse for that. It's like, it's the same and I love Greg Oden. Greg Oden is my guy. But Kevin Durant, Greg Oden, everybody, and Greg, if he didn't have the injuries, who knows what he would have been.
Nobody was pushing back at that time on him being the number one pick.
Nobody's pushing back.
Nobody. Yeah, that was a very unfortunate situation with a man who at 18 looked 35. But coming out of Ohio State, a consensus number one pick, and then the knees just gave out on him, and the rest is history. But going back to this picture, which I imagine stings, which one of these four hurts the most today?
You know, it's funny, and like I'm gonna speak from what I'm seeing from the media perspective or whatever, not my perspective, but what I'm just seeing in local Sacramento media. The one that stings the most, minus Luka. I think Luka is just.
So Luka's number one. Okay,
Yeah, that's number one. I think the one that stings the most is Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah,
but not sting. Yeah. Not this thing. This is the twist. It's not sting as in he's gone, but it's sting. It's sting as in he's left and had success. Because that same sentiment isn't given to De'Aaron Fox. People love in the media. People love what De'Aaron's doing right now. They're happy for him. They're excited. But they hate Tyrese Halliburton. And he was a guy that...
Hey. Sorry, he interrupted you. Sorry about that. Go ahead. Yeah, just hate.
Yeah, he's the guy that was perfect timing. Yeah, and I remember like 2 years when the Pacers went to the finals, I started asking like, you know, other our colleagues and stuff, media, and I was like, why do y'all hate Tyrese Halliburton? What did he do? he was solid when he was here. He wanted to be here. He got traded. He didn't want to leave. He got traded away. And he became an all-star. He went to the finals. He did essentially what De'Aaron Fox is doing. But for whatever reason, they just hate Tyrese Halliburton. And so that one, I don't know why, but that one stings the most.
God, let's not let's make sure Vivek is on the hook a little bit here too, because Vlade Divac is not making that decision without Vivek going, okay, makes sense. Sure. You know, oh, too big of a mark? Yeah, sure. Whatever you say, Vlade. Sure thing. It's insanity. And friendly reminder, you can't get rid of your owners. You're stuck with them for life. And right now, Northern California has two of them that I think a lot of fans are very disgruntled over. In our chat right now, Evanistics, who, side note, script writer for the Taylor Sheridan universe. Evan, I'm long overdue, side note, to invite you back on the show. Stay tuned for that text. Writing, is it possible to criticize Steve Kerr too much? Is that a thing? I mean, after all, he's just had two massive puff pieces written about him, ESPN and the New Yorker glazing him. So maybe there's some balance by the flip side of the coverage, but I digress. So poor Sacramento Kings, man. Is there any updates on the draft, by the way, in terms of who you think the Kings will pick up?
No, I think it's pretty set. Like, it's going to be that Kingston Flemings, Michael Brown Jr.'s, those guys, and my guy Keaton Wagler. But they love Darius Acuff. I think Darius Acuff is still number one on the board. I just don't think he's going to be available. To my knowledge, he hasn't came. There's not a workout set up yet, or he hasn't. I haven't seen anything where they met or anything, but I do know there's reports that Scott Perry has a previous relationship with Acuff and his family. I think he coached them at some point in the AAU or something like that. But I think it's gonna land around that Keaton Wagler, Michael Brown, and Flemings.
It's peculiar, at least to me, that there is a report that the Warriors have met and interviewed Darius Acuff Jr., but not the Kings. That report, by the way, came out from an Arkansas Razorbacks reporter. He's the one who reported that meeting was supposedly great. I think he used some very flippant casual language, like it was effing fantastic or something. The whole thing was bizarre. Again, who the hell knows what that means, if anything? The Warriors are parading a whole bunch of random players I've never heard of in my life for that second round pick. A lot of workouts taking place at Chase Center, but for the number 11 pick, I still have no clue. What is the worst case scenario in your mind for the Kings? Like, who's the guy that if the Kings draft the number 7, you're going, God damn it, him? Like there has to be at least one guy you're looking at going, don't pick him. Like anybody but him. Is there that one guy to you?
So I love this draft, like probably 1 through 10. I love it. And I don't think there's a miss. But I think if somehow, some way, the Kings go outside of that and pick somebody that we've just never mentioned, somebody that they think is just different or surprise them in a workout or whatnot. I really believe it's going to be hard for them to miss. Are you gonna? So there's in this draft, I feel like there's generational talents that's at the very top. Then I think there's very good, NBA players. Then I think there's top tier prospect type guys. I think all 3 of those guys are in the top 10, and I think the Kings have to get one of those types of players. If they somehow picked, Mark Haynes out of Sacramento, California, because we have an excellent pod and I just impressed them with my interview, then I'd be upset. But I really don't think they can completely miss.
Okay. Look, and I could be mistaken on this, but the impression I'm getting is that top 7 is safe. And when I say top 7, the top 4 is commonly known. AJ DeBonsa, Darren Peterson, Caleb Wilson, Cam Boozer. Those 4 are going to go top 4. And then 5 through 7, I feel like is pretty safe and maybe set in stone. And that's Keaton Wagler, Darius Acuff Jr., and then maybe Kingston Flemings. That's the impression I'm getting. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. If the Kings select Mikel Brown Jr., and I hope I pronounced his name correctly, would you be upset?
I wouldn't be upset.
So maybe then it's a top 8 that's safe. Is Mikel Brown, do you consider him in that second group?
I consider him in that second group.
Okay. All right.
The one thing that impressed me, and it was very, briefly, but at the combine or whatever, I didn't realize how athletic he was. Like his game. I think he's one of the guys that maybe he's not as polished and ready right this moment. So it might not be a next year thing. But if I'm the Sacramento Kings, I'm not concerned about next year. They're going to be bad. Like we're talking about 2-3 years, maybe even 4 down the road. So when I'm thinking about Mikel Brown Jr. in that aspect, I don't mind it at all, because that means you're going to get if let's say you're bad another year, you're going to get another high pick, and maybe you grab another position or whatever. But no, I wouldn't be mad at Mikel Brown Jr. at all.
So okay, so it looks like then the Kings. I see what you mean in terms of it being virtually impossible for the Kings to miss with the number 7 pick in the draft, considering it feels top 8 safe. Number 9 is where in mock drafts I start seeing some interesting names that are maybe a little bit funky. And I'll throw a few names out at you, and you tell me if any of these players would disappoint you if the Kings drafted them. And the names I'm looking at, and there's 3 of them more specifically: Ade Mara, the 7'3" center out of Michigan; Nate Ament, who originally was looked at as a much higher pick. Like some people were looking at him initially as like a 5th or 6th pick in the draft. Now he's dropped. I don't know why his value dropped, but Nate Ament could be picked anywhere. And then Braden Burris out of Arizona. If any of those 3 get drafted by the Kings, would you be disappointed?
So I really like Mara from Michigan. I really like him, but I don't like him with Sacramento.
Okay.
So I would, as I think he's going to be a stud for another team. But with Sacramento, if they grabbed him, I would just be a little confused because you got Maxime Renaud that you got in the second round
Right.
last year, who took all these steps, and then you go bring another center in who you have to play him or whatever. So I would be confused at that move. I like Nate. I wouldn't hate it, but like you said, I wonder why, because he was like that top 5, 6, whatever. He is in that tier, and then he's dropped. So I don't know what's going on and why. So that would be, if they drafted him, that would be the first thing I thought or think about is like, why did he drop? Because he was here and now he's available. What happened? And that was kind of the same. So I would be worried. There we go. I would be worried with him because it'll be like Devin Carter. Devin Carter I think he was originally in the top 6 or 7 or something like that. And he ended up dropping to 13. Then you get him, you find out he got a shoulder injury.
Oh,
so and he missed the whole season his rookie year, missed his whole rookie year. So I would be worried about that. But who's the third guy you named?
The 3 guys. Sorry, it was either Nate Ament, Ade Mara, and then the other one is another guard, Braden Burris, who comes out of Arizona.
So
or Breeze. I'm sorry, I don't know if I pronounced his name right.
Yeah, I would be confused at that. I would be confused at that. So I would say, hey, I would have to, the fact that this Scott Perry's first year, this is first year as a GM, or second, getting distracted by my kid.
It's all right.
But second year.
Yeah.
I have to, when I'm looking at the rookies he got last year and how he scouted them, I have to give him an A+. I think he's won. So I think if he picked a guy like him who's not on my list of guys to get, I would think he knows something that I don't know. I would give him that.
On the Golden Day side of things, on Friday's show, Happy Hour with the Professor Armando Lora, we're going to touch on, it's going to be a Stephen Curry oriented show, partly because we're going to talk about his shoe deal. I've never been that interested in those kinds of things. It's, it's business. It's like, whatever. I like talking to hoops, but I'd never heard of Lening until this story. This is apparently Stephen Curry's new shoe deal. 10 years, $400 million is what he's going to make from this deal. 10 years is interesting. He'll be damn near 50 when this deal expires. But Lening, I mean, other than it rhyming with cha-ching, I don't know much about it. I imagine this is largely a move investing in the Asian market, which is heavily invested in basketball. They love Stephen Curry overseas. I don't know shit about Lening here. Have you ever heard of that company? It's news to me.
Yeah, so the first time I've ever heard of it was Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade signed with them. I believe he was the first NBA player. I could be wrong, but I believe he was the first. He was the first superstar for sure. And I really liked, at that point, I didn't like his game shoe, but he had a what do they call it? It was like a casual shoe that I really liked.
Okay.
Or whatever. And ever since then, people have been saying like they've, as far as technology wise, like the shoe is like top tier. Is one of the best. It's just in the Asian market. And like, you got guys like Kyrie Irving who's with Anta, and actually Malik Monk here in Sacramento. He's with them as well. They're making a move. It's a new wave. It's different. I'm curious to see, what shoes come out, what styles they come out with, because that means also like De'Aaron Fox, who's with Curry Brand. That's all going to be Lening.
Yeah.
Lening or Lening, something like that. But
am I pronouncing it wrong?
That's all going to be crossing over, and I'm curious to see how it's going to work out, how it's going to play out, but. Shout out to Steph and Curry Brand. That's crazy. 10 years, $400 million, and you in your last days in the NBA. Like most of that 10 years is going to be retired.
It is crazy. I mean, He could be retired in a year for all we know. I mean, it's
I can't hear you. You're on mute.
No, I'm not muted. You really can't hear me? Check, check, check. Oh, no. Well, I'm talking. Hold on. You can't hear me? Chad, can you hear me? Oh, boy. We might be having some issues here. Let me play a sound effect and see if you can hear this.
You're crazy, man. You're crazy. I like you. But you're crazy.
Mark, can you hear that? Could you hear that?
I can't hear you.
Will you leave and come back?
It might be me.
I think it is.
Yeah, I think it's me. My phone might be dying. Yeah, I'm getting out of here. But yeah, next time.
Can you leave and come back?
All right.
Okay, we lost him. I was trying to. I imagine. I hope folks can still hear me. Yeah, I'm good. Okay. Yeah. Well, we were going to wrap it up anyways. I was going to bring up as well one other story that came out, I think, yesterday. Jake Fisher, who I'm trusting more and more. He's establishing credibility as the days, months, and years pass that with accuracy, right? That's how you develop credibility. You keep nailing it and people start to trust you more. And Jake Fisher reporting that Giannis Antetokounmpo has no interest in playing for the Warriors because he does not want to be second fiddle to Stephen Curry. And I wrote a post on Twitter trying to explain to people who just still don't get it, maybe will never get it, that it isn't Steph that Giannis has the issue with. And we'll talk about this a lot more on Friday. It's Kerr. And we know this because of what Kevin Durant has said. It's the Steve Kerr experience when he's playing favorites as the leader of an organization. No bueno. Okay, superstar players don't like that shit. They want to feel special too. And the fact that Steve Kerr cannot get over his ego to treat multiple people like they're special, or even better, just treat everyone the same, the fact that he can't do that because the man is obtuse continues to push players away. And we'll get more into that on Friday. But Jake Fisher reporting that for the folks out there who have actually been under this delusion that maybe Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to come to the Warriors, hell to the no. If that would have happened, it would have happened at the trade deadline this past season. He wants nothing to do with this Warriors team. Never mind the fact that Steph is turning 39 this year. But you have to deal with the head coach who's essentially trying to be Steph's best friend. It doesn't work. And now we got at least a year more of this shit, if not two. We'll be back Friday. Appreciate all of you as always. We got Armando in the chat. Armando, I can't wait for us to do a show Friday because we'll talk about this. The professor writing in the chat that Stephen Curry is not making that $400 million. It's all accounting tricks. Stay tuned. Side note, in case you're unfamiliar, Armando Laura, a tenured professor at UC Berkeley in global finance. So I think if anyone has an iota of clue about Stephen Curry's new shoe deal, which is far more global than it is American, Armando's going to have some insights for us there. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the fact that nobody at a superstar level or otherwise wants to play for Steve Kerr. Yet so many of you are duped into liking this guy. He's a coach, for crying out loud. He's a coach who has a worse record over the last 8 years than Mike Budenholzer. Same amount of titles. That's the guy so many of you hero worship. A coach. Nothing special about him. I don't even know why people have reverence for coaches, period. Are there some good ones? Yes. Are there a lot of really shitty ones? Also, yes. Think about the people who voluntarily get into coaching in the first place. It's all man babies who never want a real job, They'd rather stay in sports as long as possible, so they decide to coach. Are there exceptions to that? Of course. There's a lot of good coaches who actually value the teaching aspect, making a difference aspect. But there's a whole lot more of them who do it for self-interest purposes. I get to keep playing a game and make money off that and have power? Sign me up. Dude, get over the coach reverence, dude. They don't mean shit. There's exceptions to that, but stop with the hero worship when it comes to a coach. They're just average people who are lucky as F to get the jobs they have, enjoying tremendous privilege and power, oftentimes abusing it. And why? Because they knew the right person to get the job in the first place? Come on, folks, grow up. We'll be back Friday. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Mark Haynes, I80 Crossover every week. And hell of a game one in the NBA Finals. I'm excited for that. Thanks, everybody. Oh, bye.